Welcome back to Crazy Ex Podcast. This week, Roger and I watched Season 1, Episode 11, That Text Was Meant for Josh. As always, we'll start
False. That text was not meant for Josh.
You're right. That text was not meant for Josh. I'm so sorry. As always, we'll start off with a synopsis. During a deposition, Rebecca accidentally texts Josh a message that was meant for Paula. Everyone helps out so that Rebecca can race to Josh's house and then delete the text from his phone that he left at home. When Josh returns unexpectedly, Rebecca makes up a story about how someone broke into her house. To cover the lie, she enlists Paula and her husband Scott to break her window with a rock. Josh realizes that Rebecca is lying and leaves her with her own mess. Roger, what do you think of this episode?
No.
No?
No. Well, I shouldn't say no. I would say it was funny and very ridiculous. There was just like I felt like I was getting slapped in the face with cringe this entire episode. Like someone was just like we talked about in one of our other ones, like you're kind of just hammering home the point of this like message that maybe you didn't entirely get right. I felt like this episode was, hey, Rebecca is awkward and cringy, and we're going to hammer home this point like 18 different times in this episode. Also, the fact that you used the phrase unironically during a deposition, Rebecca accidentally texted the wrong person, blows my mind.
I'm not entirely sure that it was a deposition.
I don't know what to call it, but it felt like a deposition was the right phrase.
I feel like,
a pre-trial meeting?
Yeah.
Isn't that a deposition, though?
A deposition is when you interview a witness, not in a courtroom.
Okay.
But I don't know. That could have been what's happening, but anyway.
I feel like
I'm not a lawyer. That seemed like a good word.
Pre-trial negotiation?
Sure. Maybe they were trying to settle out of court, so, yeah. Sure.
But they had a judge, though.
They did have a judge. Yeah, you wouldn't do that if you were just trying to settle out of court. I don't know. Anyway, this doesn't matter.
No.
That's interesting. I mean, there were certainly some cringe moments in this episode, but this one did not scream cringe for me more than usual.
It felt like it was just more like every interaction with Josh felt like it was super cringy. The what we will refer to as the deposition was cringy, but then insane.
Yeah, it was insane.
Like I kept asking, is this like one of those things where it's like a cutaway and like this is what she hopes happens, and they're like, hello, but like this really happened. Why did that really happen? I'm like actually perplexed as to what the hell happened.
I mean, it's certainly like a fantastical
it's
idea. But also I think the premise of this episode, which is part of the Text Emergency song, is like this is super relatable and has like happened to people before. Like you accidentally text the wrong person. I know that's never happened to you, but it happens to the rest of us.
I mean, again, it's not that I've never texted the wrong person, because I've like texted you guys about like a sports thing and I needed to text someone else. Like, but like not to this like I'm gonna propose to this other girl who I've never met before, but instead of sending it to my good friend, I accidentally send it to the girl I want to propose to who has no idea I like her. Like, that level of like, what?
Rebecca's text was very over the top, but I do feel like a thing that happens to people a lot is, oh, this fucking bitch did this fucking thing, and you mean to text it to your friend, and instead you accidentally text it to the fucking bitch. That happens to people a lot. Not a lot. It's happened to people before.
Interesting. Okay. I guess I could see that, though.
I think it's partially because you're like, either if you're going to like search in your text messages or you're like skimming through the names, you're like, oh, I'm sending this text about Jane. And then you like see
subconsciously
Jane.
You click the Jane thing. Sure. I feel like it would be the other way where like, oh, Jane looked really hot last night. I should ask her out. And then you accidentally send that to Jane. It's like, oh shit, she has a boyfriend. Or, you know, the hate thing seems even weirder. But yeah, no, how many times have you done this?
I mean, I've never done it in a way that I felt like I needed to race to someone's apartment to delete a text message. I think I've done it twice. And they were like fairly innocuous. I mean, I've certainly done it many times as you described, where it's like,
of course.
Oh shit, I was telling my mom that I was coming over for dinner, sorry. But I think I've done it twice when it wasn't great.
I will say I had been on the receiving end of this from one of my friends, and it's hilarious every time because we're pinned on iPhones. You pin, and so I'm right below her husband. So the amount of times that there will be like a text message sent to me like, "Hey babe, can you pull out the chicken? I'm going to cook dinner for the boys tonight." And I just want to be like, "Nah, I'm kind of busy, babe. Can't really do it. I'm good." And she's like, "Oh damn it, that wasn't meant for you." Or like, he didn't eat his breakfast this morning. I'm like, no, Chinook definitely ate his breakfast, but I don't think you're talking to me. I think you're talking to your husband.
The general theme of, like, shit that happens with text messages is prevalent. Like, later in the episode when Paula shows her the text message from Scott, and then Rebecca scrolls and is like, oh my god!
Okay, first off, as a rule, if you scroll through someone's phone, you get what you get. Like, I learned a long time ago when I was young, I don't scroll through a woman's phone. They get shit I just don't want to see.
Yeah.
Probably a penis.
Definitely not photos. You should never scroll
Never.
through photos.
But
I also would never, like,
text messages
scroll
include
up
photos.
into text messages, but I could see that, like, she was, like, maybe the part of the message was obscured, and she was, like, and then she was like, oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just, as a general rule, just...
No scrolling.
Just don't, if you go through people's phone, be prepared to see what you see. Like, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. It's also, like, I don't understand the whole going through your partner's phone. That is a weird, crazy thing to me. But, like, it's become normalized where people are like, well, why can't I just go through his phone? I was like, do you want to? Like, my wife is like, I don't want to look at your dumbass, boring conversations about wrestling and football and other dumb shit. I just don't care.
Once upon a time.
You and I don't really text about it that much. But if
to.
we did, she'd be reading that and going like, well, also she doesn't give a damn about, like, our content. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the traditional, like, oh, I want to make sure you're not texting all these hoes on the side. It's like, yep, I'm texting my boy, and there's my other buddy, and here, feel free to read all this wrestling if you want.
Yeah.
Or I have the best cover ever. I mean, who knows?
There were actually a lot of things I liked about this episode. You didn't? There were a lot of jokes. And
Father Bra was amazing. Okay, is Bra his last name?
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
Yes.
What
Josh
is his name?
I can look it up.
I'll look it up.
Okay. Josh gave him the name Father Bra. Remember, we went through the whole thing. It was like, his name is Joseph. That's his first name, Joe. And I don't know what his last name is.
Could it be Bra?
It's not Bra. But yeah, when he said, please, Mr. Bra was my father. I'm Father Bra. That's a good spin on that. That thing.
He has no last name, according to... So, I am now going to assume his last name was Bra.
Well, I love how that's caught on so much that everyone calls him that. And I also love the idea that apparently Paula and Scott go to the same church as Josh and his family.
Yeah. I mean, West Covina is a small town, so maybe it's the church.
The Catholic Church? They only have one. I don't know.
Maybe Paula's Catholic.
I mean, Paula's definitely Catholic, but... Yeah.
I mean, do you have to be Catholic to go to a Catholic church for advice?
You don't have to go into it, but I don't... If you weren't Catholic, I don't know why you would choose... Catholics are a little... We're Catholic, and you're not supposed to take communion if you're not Catholic, for example.
That I knew. Like, you don't have to be Catholic, you can go to Notre Dame.
But that's a school.
It's a place of higher education.
Although it is true... you can go into Mormon churches, but you can't go into the temple if you're not Mormon.
Like, it feels like if I were trying to recruit people, can't say that in a nicer way, being willing to give them advice from a priest seems like it might help my numbers, because they might be like, that was really helpful advice. Maybe I'll come back. So it does seem logical that I might be like, yeah, feel free, you can come by and get advice anytime you want.
Yeah. But yeah, there were a lot of, like, funny gags that I liked, and, like, small lines. When Josh
The non-main plot was really funny.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
When Josh comes back from his he's, like, dressed for his martial arts class, and Rebecca asked him if he has a recital. I thought that was the best. That also feels very relatable to me, because sometimes when we're, like, talking about a sport, I'm like, are you going to the hockey match?
When she said that, I went, this is Chelsea about sports. Oh, so you're going to watch the tournament? Yes, I'm going to watch the playoffs. That is correct. One of my favorite lines, which kind of reminds me of this joke that we always make, me and my guy friends, there's a point where Josh is talking about not having his phone, and he's like, yeah, I feel naked, like buck-ass naked. And Rebecca's like, And we're like, this is, I think, what, like, the traditional crazy girlfriend thinks women are out there doing to us men. And we're like, boy, that would be nice if that was really happening. Like, there's just women out there being like, thinking of you buck naked. I don't think that's a real thing. Maybe it is. Maybe if you're Mick Jagger, that's really happening, but I don't think that's the ever.
They also have a specific history.
Sure.
Like, he's not just a random person.
There's a difference between specific history and then the way she said that with some force. She said that with a whole chest out. Like, that was 100% she was thinking it was a piece of meat.
Well, and then, I mean, she's not the only one. We've seen Paula make noises like that about Greg.
Paula seems more like a man-eater to me, though, than Rebecca typically does.
I also really like that Scott is apparently Team Greg, and Paula is definitely trying to convince him that Team Josh is the only way.
Yeah, I do think... Hey, is this the first time we learned his name?
Scott?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it's definitely the most time we've ever spent with Scott.
This is the first time he felt like a real character, not just a side character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's definitely Team Greg. I knew I liked Scott somewhere, somehow. Also, Scott's hilarious. I don't think I realized Scott had this much personality. I'm also confused because was this just Paula's interpretation of the situation? Because I thought Scott was just very doing his own thing and not at all connected to their universe.
I mean, I think that was the case. I think there's two things happening here. One is I think you're right, like Paul's interpretation of the situation. Or like Paula, later in the episode when they're talking about it and he's like interested in what she's saying, she's so touched that he's listening to her. But I think the opposite is also true. She doesn't listen to him because all he ever talks about is a fucking barbershop quartet, which she's also not interested in. So I think they just like don't talk to each other very much because they're not interested in what the other person is saying, or they think that they're not.
They don't have a lot in common. Yeah.
I also think that he probably was ignoring her mostly, and then when she came home and said, "I'm really unhappy," he like freaked out that she might leave, and now they're trying to talk more.
So I wasn't sure. Did she come home and say she was unhappy? Or did she come home dressed up and then he interpreted that she was unhappy?
I think he said to Father Bra, "You came home dressed up all nice and said that you were unhappy, and now we are here."
Okay, yeah, no, she did apparently say that specifically.
Yeah. Which makes sense. So that's like a reference back to the status is preferred episode, whatever that was.
It was just jazz.
That was great. It wasn't cheating. It was just jazz.
I mean, I would not call that cheating, but they got close.
Yeah. Nothing happened. It was just jazz. Yep. Scott and Paula were the best part of this episode, having so much fun on their rock adventure. Just love that.
They just seem to be having a blast.
So good.
Yeah.
I love that, speaking of religion, as we were earlier, Rebecca thought that Josh's phone password might be Jesus's birthday. I feel like that's like very much like how a Jewish person would perceive a Christian person's like relationship to religion.
I'm gonna be honest with you, all of my religious friends, I would assume Jesus' birthday is their password. That'd be one of my first three guesses. Like, what's important to them? Oh, Jesus. Let's try it.
And apparently she knows his social security number, or the last 4 digits of his social security number, which you should never have as your phone password.
I mean, other people should not know that of you.
That's true.
Like, in general, that's a number that, I don't think most people know my last 4. I'd hope not. Also, probably shouldn't be a phone. Phone password should just not be something that is you. Like, that's just a general rule.
And it apparently was Valencia's birthday.
I love when she says, "Oh, God, he really loves her." Like, yeah, I think he really does. In fact, he told you this.
Other things that I liked, when the cop shows up and Rebecca is like freaking out at first the same way that she was freaking out at Josh, and then she just goes full lawyer mode on him. It was hilarious and was not helping the situation.
No.
But she did get him to leave, so I guess it worked.
Yeah. Here's the other thing I don't get. So let's talk about that scene real quick. Josh, who, like Josh, but is dumb. Maybe he's not as dumb as a rock.
He's not the brightest, but he's not as dumb as a rock, as they say in Where is the Rock?
He's closer to a rock than a light bulb, though.
Yep.
That rock, while even if it did come from inside the house, was clearly thrown from outside of the house.
Yep.
So he makes like a conclusion that like, oh, this happened from inside the house. He's like, well, then how did the glass come inside?
No, I think that he figured out I think he says they came in and stole the rock and went outside and threw it back in.
Yeah. I mean, like, does he think that she did it?
But why would they do that?
Oh, maybe there's somebody who hates her.
Because I think that he was like, oh, obviously someone broke in and threw a rock through the window so that they could get in, which apparently wasn't necessary at all because apparently Rebecca leaves her sliding glass door unlocked all the time. Yeah, Rebecca tries to come up with a story, but it's too late. Well, and she's lied to him before, so
yeah,
he already has reason to be mistrustful.
Rebecca's an impressively bad liar because, like, any person who knows how to lie tells you the less details, the better. Let people fill in their own explanations. Like, this is how I kill you guys in Werewolf. I just say one thing, and you're like, you come up with 5 different explanations. I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rebecca trying to come up with a lie about why she's in Josh's house also was, I was just like, it...
But she would have been fine if she wasn't sitting there smelling his shirt like a fucking creeper.
I know.
If that was a guy smelling a girl's shirt in her apartment...
Oh, no, it was very creepy.
Yeah, but it would go from creeping to, like, serial killer vibes. Like, you'd be like, ooh, this is a little terrifying.
Not good.
A little stalkerish.
Underwear.
What?
Smelling underwear.
Oh, yeah.
That would be even worse.
Though, weirdly enough, we normalize that in college. Like, panty raids is just a thing.
Well, yeah, there's like a whole thing now where you can like sell your underwear online, used underwear to men, and then they will buy them. That's a thing. Roger just threw up in his mouth, I think. Do you need some water, bud?
I have water. I just want to know, are you serious?
I read it in a book once.
I'm not Googling this.
And then I looked it up because I wanted to know if it was real, and it's real.
Ew!
Yeah.
See, these are the moments in which I hate my gender. Because I don't think this works in the inverse. I don't think there's a market of women out there that I could sell my sweaty, used underwear to. And if it is, it's like really old ladies.
Yeah, that's just gross.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, though, especially in the second instance with the rock. There's no reason that Rebecca would know what they were doing there. So she could just say, like, I don't know. That's
I was
really
asleep
weird.
And someone threw a rock. I don't know why they would do that, but it was scary and I didn't really investigate it.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, to be fair, it's not implausible that someone was mad and, like, you didn't have anything I wanted. Fuck it, I'm going to break your window for wasting my time. Like, that sounds like criminal. Or maybe it was just a delinquent kid who wanted to go bust windows.
Speaking of creepy things, the other thing that I find very cringy about this episode, every time Rebecca... Episode? I don't know what's the matter with me today.
I had the same problem. Now, Wedge!
Yeah, what did you say earlier?
Something bad. It was...
Wishwhelm.
Wishwhelm. I have a hard time when I start with a W then transitioning to an R. Like, that is always like, do I have a lisp and I didn't know this? Meow, Wedge.
Oh, the other thing that I find very cringy, every time Josh and Rebecca hug, like the way that she like smells him or like gets a weird look, it's gross and creepy and weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So we paused and I said this, I was like, this is a strange inversion of the traditional friend zone thing. Do you acknowledge there's a friend zone thing? Because I know you don't think the friend zone's real in real life, but like, this is a friend zone.
It's not that I don't think it's real. I think that it's a frustrating concept that like implies that women owe men something.
I think you've read that.
I think that is a way that many women read it. You can read many articles about it.
Sure. I don't think that it's like, you know the phrase boys will be boys?
Yeah.
That phrase has nothing to do with somehow how it got perverted. But boys will be boys was literally a phrase about, how come your arms and knees are bloody? I was outside and we were playing around. I jumped off of a thing and I scraped up my knees. Why? Oh, there's no good reason. It's just boys will be boys. Like, we do dumb shit. And then somehow that turned into, why did you grab that girl's butt? It's like, well, that's not boys will be boys. That's you being a predator. Like, so, like, there's a real meaning of a phrase, and then there's so, like, somehow it got perverted. Like, the friend zone is literally what we're watching Josh and Rebecca do. Josh sees her as a good, close friend who is attractive, and Rebecca's like, I love you. That's the friend zone. That's it right there.
He wants her to be his friend even though she's interested in him. Okay.
But, like, there's no, like... there's, like, a second part of that I feel like gets added on. I was like, but It's like not relevant. It's not like I don't think anyone would say that like Rebecca doesn't feel Josh owes her anything. I don't think anyone would read it that way. She's just in love with him and he's not. That's the friend zone. That's it. You see one person one way, they see you a different way.
I'm just not sure that's how people usually define the friend zone.
That's how men define the friend zone. I can't tell you how women define the friend zone, but like...
All right, well, yes, fine. Yeah. I also think that it's inappropriate that Rebecca is consistently pursuing Josh when he just wants to be friends and has told her so.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And is in a relationship that he said that he's committed to.
That feels like the worst part. I'm going to be honest with you. That one feels... Not that the other one isn't bad, but
or like, the opposite of that is also a problem, which is Josh actually does want to be with Rebecca, and he's just, like, he, like, is unwilling to be brave and break up with his girlfriend or whatever. Like, either of those things are a problem. You're being very thoughtful about this. The silence is deafening.
Yeah, problem isn't the word I'd use, but it definitely it's an obstacle, I would say. I feel like when I'm thinking problem, like, the behavior is problematic. I wouldn't necessarily call Josh's behavior problematic if he is interested in, but, like, okay. There's an issue.
So I think that to be fair, Josh has told Rebecca that he is attracted to her, but I don't know that Josh knows that Rebecca is in love with him. He probably should, based on her behavior, but as we've said, he's closer to a rock than a light bulb. And Valencia has told him many times that is what's happening.
Two responses to that. One, trusting your girlfriend to always read other women, most men will be like, you're overreacting, because that's a very common thing.
Everyone else sees it too, they just don't talk to Josh about it.
But they haven't told Josh, so I think if like Greg and the boys and everyone else reinforced Valencia, he'd probably be more receptive, but like Valencia has a known jealous streak, hates all other women. I would probably read that as a, like, oh, you're just threatened by her, whatever. The other one, yeah, I guess we can argue that he should know this, but if her friendship were genuine and not just a ploy to sleep with him, all the things that she is doing is what you would expect from a friend. That's why the friend zone is problematic to people. They're like, I thought you were being my friend, so you're doing all these nice things for me because that's what friends do, when in reality you're trying to get into my pants. So, like, that makes sense that, like, Josh would be like, well, yeah, like, you believe in me. Like, you helped me because I thought we were friends. So, like, I'm not going to blame Josh on that one because, like, if he did tell her, I'm in love with Valencia and I think you're a good friend of mine, she's doing just friend things. Now, obviously, if she, like, dresses seductively and tries to get him into her house, you should be like, okay, something's weird. Like, Greg obviously sees what's going on, but, like, Josh is also just kind of, the bulb's on, but it's kind of dimly lit.
That was another thing that I liked about this episode, that Greg finally realizes. I mean, he's had many realizations about Rebecca, but he realizes that he, like, keeps putting her in his path on purpose because he likes her. And he doesn't want, like, he knows that she's bad for him.
Yeah, no, let's talk about that at the end. I have some thoughts on that one. I want to talk about the deposition a little bit more.
Okay.
What the fuck happened? First off, Paula, way to read a situation and know that would somehow work. Because at first I thought she's lost her mind.
But she knows these people.
Well enough to be able to say, hey, this super embarrassing situation is exactly what you need to tell them. And they all went, oh, no, like, you got to handle this right now. Like, this is way more important than this legal matter that you have clients here for. You need to fix that before this comes. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I love that the opposing client.
Yeah.
She also
the client
was
totally.
Was like,
oh, no, this is an emergency. Fix this right now. Like, maybe it is way more common than I'm aware of.
I mean, I think it's...
This is played up for TV.
Yeah, played up for TV. It's a farcical situation, as you said.
I also... So this might be an age thing. That, like, by the time the internet and cell phones were everywhere, I was older. Like, I wasn't a teenager going through this the way, like, teenagers now grew up with cell phones. I'm sure they mistext things all the time because you're young and dumb. Do adults do this, though? Like, grown adults.
I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you were 21 and did that, especially after, like, a night of drinking, that makes total sense. I just have a hard time. For one, would you ever be texting in a courtroom?
No.
I mean, emergency situation, sure. Like, mom's in the hospital, I'm waiting on this. That makes sense, but, like...
I know, they were trying to, like, mouth it to each other, and then they pull out their phones.
Also,
I've definitely... 100% in work meetings, not usually in person, virtually, But, like, I'll either send Teams messages, or if it's not appropriate for Teams, I'll send a text message like, do you believe that thing that person just
I
said?
spend the entire meeting doing something else. In person or virtual. Luckily, I hope none of them listen to this. But, like, I will be on my phone and sending team messages. Because, like, everyone's been in those meetings. They're all boring.
I did have a horrifying realization at one time during the pandemic. This is a public service announcement for everyone, just so you know. You know how on a Zoom call, there's, like, the chat, and then there's, like, the individual chats?
Yes.
Obviously, it makes sense that this is the case, but it just, like, didn't really occur to me that it would work this way. You can save the chats from a group, from a thing.
Like a transcript.
And the host of the meeting can see all of the chats, including the person-to-person chats.
Correct. Because that was part of the meeting.
Yep.
So if you're talking shit about...
Just make sure you know that.
If you're talking shit about the host, don't do it over their Zoom chat that they can save the logs for. I did think of a situation that almost qualifies. We were in a work meeting, and we were trying to send funny gifs, and I accidentally clicked the wrong one. So instead of what I went to send, it was a suck it gif from wrestling, which was not appropriate for a work meeting, but I just deleted it real quick. So maybe that's kind of close?
What does the person say? I accidentally texted the entire staff about my yeast infection.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Which, it's funny, it's like both not as easy and easy to send. A text message I think is weird, but like an email, it's not that hard to send an email to your whole company. Like I could do it really easily. I just add a thing. So you like need to send a message to your boss and you accidentally send it to everyone. I don't know why I would email my boss and tell them that I'm having a yeast infection, but
I mean, I guess. I mean, the way my company sets it up, like distribution list has a very clear dist label in front of it, so I'm like, no, it's not really that easy. Like, I would have to not be paying attention. Or replying all or something like that. And, like, I don't know. Also, just, do people not take the time to proofread their shit anymore?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. People are weird. Okay, what else you got on likes?
I'm done.
Oh, that was it?
I have a few best lines.
You don't have any disliked?
I did. I went through them. Rebecca trying to come up with a lie about why she's in Josh's house, and the look she gets on her face every time Josh hugs her.
That was your dislike. That was it.
Yeah.
Wow, that was short. I do have one more dislike that we need to talk about. So, you've hyped up the I'm Stupid Bitch song, and I think it delivers as far as the song. Like, I have no issues with the song. Content was hilarious. It was actually even interesting to be like, is this a thing that, like, people do? I will certainly yell at myself, but it's like a quick, like, you stupid fucking idiot. And then, like, all right, let's go fix it. Not like a self-loathing, like, beat down where you're just, like, you know, crying at the end. I feel like I'm a stupid bitch, you ruined everything would feel better if I wasn't rooting for her to ruin it. Like, it's a weird, like, you did ruin it, and I'm glad, because what you're trying to do is morally wrong. Like, it's just like, I'm not cheering for you. Like, if you ruined it and it was like, oh, you and Josh are together, and you broke them up, like, oh, that would suck, I feel bad for you, but I'm like, yeah, you failed. Good. That's what should happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, like, meant to establish this is a pattern for Rebecca. Mm-hmm. Like, that negative self-talk that started as negative direct talk from her mother is, like, now inside of her brain. Like, it's not just... The negative self-talk she's hearing also spirals outside of what the problem is. Like, you stupid, fat, ugly, like...
I expected Naomi to show up as, like, her backup singer.
Yeah.
Because, like, it feels like, I was like, oh, you sound like your mom. Like, it really sounded like Naomi talking. Which I think is what they're kind of...
Yes. But no, I mean, you're right. She should not... It's not a good thing for her to succeed at that.
Like, your failure is actually, like, a cheerable moment, so it was interesting. Or, like, if this were I'm a stupid bitch, I ruined everything because I tried to get the kid's mom deported, or I ruined the deposition. Like, oh, yeah, like, okay, that was fucked up. Or I might get White Feather's kid, might get him divorced. All things to really feel bad about. Nope, it's that you couldn't take away Josh.
I love the Frank Sinatra vibes of You Stupid Bitch, too. It's really like a My Way.
A ballad.
Well, and even the thought of, like, it's like a super famous diva is, like, singing to her fans. Yep. But in this case, the fans are the other people that talk to themselves like this in their head.
I got a Mariah Carey vibe, admittedly, from that. Like, one of those, like, I'm the center of attention, now let's, be with me.
Yeah.
I have two more lines.
I also have two more.
I wanted to look up the song because I'm curious as to what...
the Texemergency song?
That too, but also Where's the Rock? I didn't know that counted as a song. You Stupid Bitch. I was curious as to what they called that as like theme.
I would say it's a like a crooner's ballad, like Frank Sinatra.
That's kind of what I would have thought too.
Yeah.
Go ahead while I'm looking this up.
Okay, so my best lines that we haven't talked about. When Greg asks, "Why do you care about my mating partner?" and Rebecca just very clearly says, "I don't care. I think I've shown that consistently."
Not wrong. That was probably the most honest she was in the entire episode. Yes. I don't care. I think I've shown that consistently.
Yep. This is super creepy, but it was just really funny. When she tells Rebecca, or when she calls Paula from Josh's house, like, well, she's like whispering,
panicked,
and she says he smells like karate, and I love it. It's very creepy, especially because he wasn't doing karate; he was doing taekwondo.
That's the part that bothered you.
And then just Rebecca's ability to pull out a big word just in a panic situation. When she's trying to come up with a story about how the person broke into her house and stole the rock, and then she says he was offended by the platitudinous message on the rock.
I feel like in a panic situation, I would expect that from you.
I just start
word
using
vomit.
big words.
I like the kind of opening. Can you do it for God? You gonna really pull the God card? I'm a priest. What other cards do you think I got?
That's what I do. And then later when Paula's explaining it to Rebecca why she can't go with her, she was like, because of God and a boat and there's a hole?
Yep.
Something?
100%.
I just have to be there.
Great. I love the line at the end where Rebecca is basically like pleading with Greg and says like, I just need someone to be with me tonight. And he's like, someone. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. And just... Because I thought they were going to do that stupid thing where like he kisses her and fucks up his relationship. Uh-huh. Instead, he was like, nope, you're toxic. I got to fucking go.
And
like,
I got to stop walking by your house and I can leave the other way.
What you said, like, I can walk out this building any other way and I keep putting you in my path.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, see that she's a problem. And I'm just going to say it again because it was funny. Like, damn, she really, she wants her some Josh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 3-ish favorite moments.
Oh, there was one favorite moment that was by far better than all of the rest.
Okay.
The Crazy Ex-Girlfriend theme song.
Oh, yeah, that's one of mine.
As spoken by Scott and Rebecca, is one of my favorite
Paula.
gags. I'm sorry, Scott and Paula. One of my favorite gags in all of TV I've ever seen.
It's really funny.
It was fucking hilarious because they did it so well, so matter of fact that I was like, holy shit, they're going to do the whole song.
Well, and it actually is a very good, succinct description of what happened, like why Rebecca is here.
It's also funny when like she does the like, that's a sexist term. She's the crazy ex-girlfriend. Like, it was great. It was absolutely great. I that was my favorite moment of the entire episode. Might be my favorite moment of the season right now.
I have two.
Well, Bitches I Need to Apologize To is up there.
Okay. I have two others. One, Paula and Scott in general was my favorite part of this episode, that being one of them. And just their, like, bonding over this crime. But my favorite part is after Scott throws the rock through the window, Paula slaps him on the ass.
Yeah. She's turned on by this. It was hilarious.
It was great.
Like, apparently all Scott needed to do was be a delinquent.
And then the other thing that I really liked is the tag that we were laughing at the end of the episode.
Yes.
That's in my the judge is getting in trouble from his judge boss, I guess.
Bigger judge?
I don't know. About hiring the police escort for Rebecca. And he is like trying to explain the situation, and then he says, I left my wife for a prostitute. So this like running gag that we've had the whole season. There's this prostitute running around town breaking up men's wives. The butter guy, this guy.
Is it the same prostitute?
It's definitely the same prostitute.
Damn.
Yeah, breaking up marriages.
All right. She's actually a homewrecker.
What was your favorite song?
Oh, Text Emergency. Not even close.
Oh, really?
Not even close. Text Emergency was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was really funny.
It also fit because like I was so confused by what was happening in the deposition, and they were like flashing back and forth, and I was just like, this is one of the most, because I was like, this is fake. Like, this is a thing in Rebecca's head that, because I'm always like, these aren't real. But then like that happens, which feels like a thing that would happen in her head, and then you're like, no, this is really happening. I was like, what? Like, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. I think I would have liked I'm a Stupid Bitch more if it wasn't for the fact that I was like, Yeah, I kind of are.
Are you pro text emergency, text catastrophe, or message apocalypse?
Ooh.
The real question of this episode.
I kind of think I like message apocalypse.
Yeah, I think I like that too, but it does feel a little too big.
But that's what I like about it. It was appropriate that it was Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And it was Apple, and of course Apple goes for like the big thing. But like, yeah, I feel like message apocalypse is like the one where you just... Because it actually felt exactly how I described the situation. It's really not that important, but to you, it is the end of the world.
Yeah, no, I get that. My favorite song is You Stupid Bitch.
Of course.
And my favorite part of the song, or favorite line, is when she invites the audience to sing with her, and then they're singing back at her, and she goes, "Yes, I deserve this!"
Didn't you just hear Naomi, though? Like,
yes.
Like, you deserve all of this criticism. And at one point she yells, "You need to lose some weight." And, one of my other favorite lines that I forgot to mention. Yeah, I could see that. She had slut face.
Yeah. That's good.
Quick follow-up question. What is slut face?
I don't know. I don't know what slut face is.
Like, don't get me wrong. I certainly understand what a slut looks like. But I've never heard of like, oh yeah, that girl's got slut face.
Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like I'm going to look this up and I'm going to regret what I thought.
Most ridiculous moment? I only have one, but I feel like I could have many.
I'm surprised by this. Okay. Say your one.
I mean, I think it's because it's like a series of events that like...
A series of unfortunate events?
Yes.
This is a Lemony Snicket play?
But the police escort to Josh's house is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
They convinced other people to help her. Like, she convinced them to stop the deposition, which is one thing that is like a kind of a big deal. And then they help by giving her a police escort.
That was nuts.
Yeah. Are you still looking up slutface?
I am.
How did it go?
I found some phrases. It has a lot of meanings, and I'm not entirely sure. There was one meaning that corresponded with what Paula talked about, like the kind of guy who would just sleep with, or kind of girl that would sleep with any girl. And then there were some other ones that I'm not going to say on the podcast, but they were pretty vulgar. Yeah, no, they were pretty bad. I have 3 ridiculous moments.
Great.
One of them you already mentioned. I left my wife for a prostitute. That whole kind of like I think you called it like the coda, I want to say.
Yeah, or the tag, yeah.
Yeah. It was not about that. So it was just like, we're finishing up that running gag. And then out of the blue, he just drops that. I'm just like, what the fuck? And then that's how the show ends. Hilarious. Like, ridiculous, hilarious. I was like, and then you mentioned that, like, this is a running thing. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I now need to meet who is this prostitute. I hope we run into her. The entire deposition. Like, just that, like, weird pivot.
The number of times that you asked me, like,
is this real?
Yeah.
It just seems so like, this is a gag. But my most ridiculous thing about this entire episode, and this is all I put, Rebecca. I don't know how I can describe it any better than that, but like everything she does in this episode,
she ruined everything. She's
you
a stupid bitch.
bitch.
Yeah.
But like, it's not that like the outcome. Her like actions were so, they're insane for her level of insanity.
That's true. That's true. Do you want to hear something funny about the song "You Stupid Bitch"?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I'm like interacting with like a toddler or a small child, and then something happens, like, you know, you don't give them the right string cheese or whatever, and then they start like wailing, I always just imagine in their head they are singing to me, "You ruined everything, you stupid bitch." This is not the right string cheese.
Well, that's because children are terrorists, and I 100% believe they could be thinking that. That's actually why you have to break them of their terrorist behaviors at a young age, or they just get worse. That's why I don't parent.
Loser?
Honest to God.
I have 2.
Who's the other one?
Josh. I don't think, not because I think he did anything wrong, but because he was so upset. Like, he was so upset that person that he knew believed in him lied to him, and he's like creeped out. Like, he was so upset.
Okay, I accept that. I mean, that he thought he had a really good friend who just cared about him, and apparently this friend has been lying to him the entire time. Mm-hmm. That I think we both know.
And she broke into his house.
That's not the right term. She used his spare key.
Yeah.
Breaking in is like a different...
That's true.
She was in there without permission, but
yeah, I mean, I think Rebecca is like a wildly obvious choice.
I literally don't even know how she could describe her butt loser.
Yeah.
Like, is this the bottom? Does it get worse?
It does.
I'm not even sure how.
I promise that it gets worse about not this specific... Like, it's not like a... It does get worse than this, but it's not just like a whole Josh situation the whole time.
Oh. I don't know if I'm happier. Yeah, okay.
I have 3 winners.
Same. I wonder if we have the same 3 winners.
Maybe. I have Greg.
Absolutely.
He has a very small role, but he had a realization, which also made him upset. But I think, like...
But it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Like, Josh had a realization, but he didn't, like, formulate a resolve or something. Like, he's just sad.
He didn't fix the problem. He ran away from it.
Yeah.
Greg went, you know what? I've been doing this bad, toxic behavior. It's very clear to me that... And I think also, like, him realizing that, like, she wasn't actually interested in his company. She was just interested in him filling the Josh-sized hole in her life right now.
I also wonder if it was conscious before. Like, I don't know if he realized. You think it was conscious? Okay, cool. And then Paula and Scott.
Absolutely.
They had a great time. They had the best time, and apparently they had really good sex.
And sang the theme song, but didn't sing it. Just talked about it. No, they were fantastic. Pretty rare for our non-main characters to get such a win, but yeah, no, Paula, I would call it main character, but like Scott, definitely.
Oh yeah, I mean he's definitely a side character. And Greg is a main character, but is not in this episode.
No. But he feels like he is a very important part of the episode.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Maybe instead of Scott.
Well, next time we will watch Season 1, Episode 12, Josh and I Work on a Case. You seem, I'm not sure, despondent?
You know, in our other podcast, we talk about how, like, some people can be other people's anchors. Where, like, even if you like them, when you see, like, 2 bad things together, they just drag each other down. I like Josh when he's with pretty much anyone else. And then Rebecca shows up, and you're like, because it's always the same. Like, I wish Rebecca would just be comfortable around him so she wasn't so cringy all the damn time. And I wish we didn't have to focus constantly on her, like, scheming to get him. Like, Rebecca and Josh as friends would be funny. Rebecca and Josh working a case together would be funny. But I think I know enough about the show to know this is going to be Rebecca trying to apologize, get him to forgive her, and then still try to weasel her way in to be his girlfriend.
It's really hard not to say things when I, like, want to tell you something that I think you're going to like that hasn't happened yet.
That's fine. You can't kill the surprise. Are there more people who are going to leave their wives for prostitutes?
I don't know. I hope so.
What a phrase! What a phrase!
Well, please be sure to join us next time when we watch Josh and I Work on a Case.
And we will see you next time.